Luke, just testing the live stream and the quality. Can you hear me okay? Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Fiona. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, thanks.
Yeah, morning. Yes, I can hear you.
Brilliant. We can hear you both. Thank you. Morning, Fiona and Steve. Just double checking you can hear us.
Yeah, all good for me.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Morning, Derek. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, no problem. Okay,
Yes. Thank you.
thanks. I'll just turn the mic off.
Morning, Anne. Just double checking you can hear us okay?
Good morning, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, 1 second, I'll do that in a sec. Morning, Hannah. Just double checking you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you nice and clear. Morning.
That's great. Thank you. Morning, Jiva. Just double checking you can hear us okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
That's great, thanks. Morning, Sandra. Just double checking you can hear us okay?
Good morning.
That's great, thank you. Morning, Peter. Just double checking you can hear us.
Loud and clear. Morning, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to the June Cairngorms National Park Authority Planning Committee meeting. For those members of the public joining us today, either virtually or in person, I am Chris Beattie, the convener of the CNPA Planning Committee. Today's meeting will also be streamed live on the Cairngorms YouTube channel. Before we go any further with the meeting, can I ask the clerk to the board to run a roll call, please?
Thank you. Chris Beattie,
Good morning, present.
Jeeva Blackett.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Morning. Sandy Bremner,
Good morning.
Peter Cosgrove,
Good morning.
Kenny Deans. Good morning. Paul Gibb,
Here.
Hannah Grist,
Good morning.
Russell Jones,
Good morning.
John Kirk,
Morning.
Laurie McCallum. Good morning. Eleanor McIntosh. Here. Sandra McDade,
Good morning, Pierre.
Fiona McLean,
Morning.
Steve McElwright,
I'm here.
Anne Ross,
Good morning.
and Derek Ross.
Here.
And we've got apologies from Jackie Bearton, Bill Lobban and Duncan Miller today.
Thank you very much. Right, so after the apologies, we're not going to consider item 5 today, as officers have been informed of a change to the context of the application that would change the content of the papers prepared. So we're not going to look at the plan permission at Kerrow Drive QC. Okay, so we'll now move on. Are there any declarations of interest? Russell.
Item 6, I think that's been discussed at Highland Council Planning Committee, South Area Planning Committee, which I also sit on, so I won't discuss it here. I'll sit that one out.
Okay, thank you, Russell. And Derek?
I'm declaring an interest on item 6. I made comments in the national press regarding wind farms about their cumulative effect and the impact on our landscape, so I will not be taking part in the discussions.
Okay, thank you, Derek. So we'll move on to item 4, minutes of the previous meeting from the 26th of April and matters arising not covered elsewhere. Can I ask if the committee is content with the accuracy of the minutes of the meeting from the 26th of April? Yeah, I see plenty of nods. Okay, so matters arising. Gavin, do you want to cover that?
Thank you. Yes, two points. Obviously, the first one was that you authorised us to take any enforcement action that was needed at the caravan site, and granted we haven't needed to do so, but we're ready to do so and we're monitoring the site. The other part is that the planning committee convener was going to write to the applicant, and that is in hand, and that will go out either today or tomorrow. So Chris has checked that letter, and then we'll share that letter with members after we've sent it as well.
Thanks, Gavin. So I'll take a motion now to take the minutes from the confidential session from the 24th of April at the end of this public session. Is everyone happy with that? Okay, thank you very much. So moving on to item 6. So this is for decision. This is a Deltu wind farm. I'll give just Russell a couple of seconds to get at the room.
I'll just dial in again if someone can give me a ring when you're finished on this.
Yeah, that's no problem, Derek. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just log out now.
Okay, so this is a decision paper, Dell 2 Wind Farm, 2024/0068/BAC, and this is going to be introduced by Sarah. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Good. Well, I think I'm the only one presenting casework this morning, and it's a wind farm, so that will set you up nicely going into the weekend. It's always a joy to get a wind farm. This is the Dell 2 wind farm proposal, and the determining authority is the Energy Consents Unit in the Scottish Government. This is a proposal for a commercial scale wind energy development, the site boundary for which sits wholly outside the National Park. No, it's not liking that. Oh, technology. There we go. Sorry about that. So I think this is the first commercial scale wind farm that we've been proposed since the new board and planning committee have got together. So, and indeed since the publication of the new national planning policy, National Planning Framework 4. So I think there's two key background issues that contribute to our recommendation. The first is that this site, there is an outstanding consent for the Dell wind farm, and NatureScot, in discussion with Cairngorms National Park, did not raise any objection to this in 2016. So we can take this that the principle of some development at this location is established by that consent, and that consent ends in August. So very much we are looking at the extent to which the Dell 2 development adds additional cumulative effects over that from the Dell wind farm, and obviously then effects on the landscape visual and special landscape qualities of the national park. The proposal, the second issue, is the proposal also abuts the much larger scale development, operational development at Stronelairg wind farm. So I'll just quickly run through the what the Dell 2 comprises. It sits 11 kilometres east of Fort Augustus in the eastern Monolith Mountains. The development comprises 9 turbines, 2 blade tip heights associated with the infrastructure. So the blade tip heights are 190 metres and 200 metres. And just for comparison, the existing consent for Dell was for turbines of 115 metres to 125 metres. So in addition to this, because the turbines are above 150 metres, there is a requirement for Civil Aviation Authority lighting, and that would sit on the hubs of 5 turbines. So we've included this site plan, and I can actually use my little pointer arrow to explain this. We've included this one because some of the bigger figures don't actually have the Cairngorms National Park boundary on them. So this is this elongated red line is the site. This would be where the turbines are at the bottom. And this is the access road that comes off the B road along Loch Ness. Here you can see just in the bottom right-hand corner, the national park boundary. And in the middle here, you can see the operational development of Stronelairg, which is 67 turbines. So effectively, Stronelairg sits between the proposal and the national park. And again, apologies for the lack of boundary, national park boundary, but effectively the national park boundary would sit skirting the edge of the Monolith, this sort of eastern edge of the Monolith, just up from Strathspey. This basically presents 2 distance bands. These are 2 concentric circles, the inner one being at 20 kilometres, the outer one being at the full study area of 45 kilometres. Our proposal is this tiny little section of black dots in the middle, and this is the Stronelairg development just below it, extending out. Now this shows existing consented in planning and scoping developments, but the key ones to focus our attention on are the wind farms that are identified in green. So these are all either existing developments or consented developments, and that means that we can be certain that these are likely to contribute to any cumulative baseline. Once you get beyond into application and scoping, they become far more speculative, so we have less confidence that that would represent a true, a sort of accurate baseline. So I think, so basically all these developments, the operational ones, contribute to a level of significant adverse effect on the national park and the special landscape qualities at this stage. Moving on, this is a ZTV, or a zone of theoretical visibility, of the DEL 2 proposal in its own right. And at this point, I just want to stop and ask, I know some of you will be very familiar with this kind of graphics. I just wondered if you would like me to talk through how a ZTV is produced and what it's showing here. Would that be helpful? Yeah?
Yeah, that was...
Okay, I'll do that. Well, basically, first of all the graphics here, the ZTV, the wire lines, etc., are all produced in line with guidance produced by NatureScot, which is kind of industry standard. So you can be a certain, you can take comfort in the fact that it's all produced to a certain quality and level. And this is all agreed by practitioners, and it's been in place for decades now, and so it provides very robust standards for how this information should be produced. A ZTV, or zone of theoretical visibility, is exactly what it says on the tin. The zone refers to the area within which the modelled areas of visibility are set within an agreed study area, and the study area is 45 kilometres distance. Obviously, for smaller turbines, that study area might be smaller, but effectively this is identifying the area within which likely significant effects will be introduced by any proposal. So we're not saying that we've captured all potential impacts. This is just significant effects, and that comes from obviously EIA regulations, where you have to focus on significant effects. The theoretical part of it refers to the fact that this is modelled visibility using a software package, and the accuracy of the modelled visibility relates to the coarseness or refinement of your underpinning digital terrain model. So the more refined, the detailed it is, you get a better representation. This also indicates bare ground visibility, and what we mean by that is that this takes account of landform only and screening effects of landform, but it doesn't take account of, for example, intervening houses or woodland, etc. So in this case, most of the visibility in relation to the park is from high tops with a very low ground cover moorland. So we can be pretty certain that this is representing a pretty accurate reflection of what type of visibility we would get on the edge and within the park. The visibility also means just that. Effectively, when you're talking about blade tip visibility, it means that this models any visibility between the base of the turbine and the blade tip. So in some instances, it might be the full elevation of the turbine you're seeing. In other instances, it might only be 5 meters of blade tip. It's that accurate. So this is very much useful to inform the understanding, but it doesn't negate going out on site and verifying this in the field. Here, there's also 3 colour coding, and this is a way of starting to understand where certain turbines are introducing different visibility in different locations. And it's particularly useful for really big developments where they might be spread out, and quite a complex landform where different turbines are introducing visibility in very starkly different locations. So here, the blue is introducing 1 to 3 turbines. The aquamarine is 4 to 6 turbines, and the green is basically indicating where the full extent of the development can be seen. So just by way of example, just down here in the park, on the lower slopes, you've got this blue colour, which indicates that you're likely to only be seeing 1 to 3 turbines, which will be appearing over the top of the foreground landscape. And as you obviously move upslope, then the whole development is then revealed. Obviously, this doesn't take account of the Strohnlairg development, which I will then move on to. So basically, this figure shows us that there will be very limited visibility into the park. They'll be skirting along the boundary of the park at about 8 to 10 kilometres, and then there will be summit and upper slopes visibility of the development between sort of 20 and 30 kilometres. So moving on, this is another ZTV which shows comparative visibility, and effectively it's colour coordinated for 3 colours. So this is basically showing the cumulative baseline of existing and consented, and with and without the addition of Dell wind farm, sorry, Dell 2 wind farm, I should say there. So basically the Dell 2, if there was introducing new visibility of the Dell 2 wind farm, that would appear as blue on the plan. So as we can see, there's very little or negligible areas of blue on this plan, which means that nowhere within the park or on the boundary of the park would this development be introducing new visibility to turbines where there was none before. So that basically says to me that Dell wind farm will always be seen in combination with existing wind farms and consented wind farms. And again, you can see that the all built and consented developments introduce quite an extensive range of visibility to multiple developments. That can be one or more existing and consented developments. And when you add Dell into that equation, you see that the green is always encapsulated within the existing visibility of the consented and operational wind farm. So again, we can take that, basically reinforces the situation that this development will always be seen in combination with existing development. So moving on, this is one of 3 viewpoints selected within the national park on the boundary of the national park to represent how the wind farm will look in relation to the existing and consented developments in this area. This is a 90-degree view, and it indicates the top photo there is from the existing view, and the wireline underneath is representing the cumulative relationships of different turbines, and different wind farms. So the top view very clearly shows the extent to which Strohnlairg extends across and introduces already significant visibility of wind farms into the park, and also obviously significantly affects special landscape qualities and the landscape and visual aspects of the park as well. There are some other wind farms that you can't really make it out on this screen, but they are visible. There's Tom Kransky just around here, and in the very horizon on the other side of Loch Ness, there's, and I have to get my pronunciation for this right, it's Blavray on the beyond the park. So, that's our baseline. That's what we're working with. Into this, you'll see below the wireline here is a very quick and easy way of modelling visibility to different developments, and it usefully separates them out in different colours so you can understand where additional turbines will be seen in the relationships between different developments. Although in some instances, wirelines can actually sometimes overrepresent the extent to which you'll see developments, because it just uses one tone of colour, if you like, to represent all. So you might see some that are, over here, these could be 40, 50 kilometres away. So it's got to be taken with a pinch of salt. But effectively, what this is showing is that, again, the full spread of Strohnlairg will extend across here, and the development of Dell 2 is the red turbines, and they sit within the existing spread of Strohnlairg in quite a contained extent. So moving on from this shows the photo montage, which is basically taking that wireline information, rendering it and presenting it here. And just to be aware that this is actually a 52 angle view, which more accurately represents the acuity of the eye, so it seems closer. So it just sort of helps to understand the magnitude of change of these types of development. So here you can see the proposed turbines of the Del 2 development in the existing context of Stranraer. And first of all, you know, the existing Stranraer very much encapsulates those proposed turbines. And even though these turbines are sort of at the order of 70 to 80 metres taller than the Stranraer turbines, given the distance, that scale relationship actually appears quite comfortable. They don't appear completely discordant with the existing development. They read very much as an extension to that development. Lighting on these turbines would be what they call on the cardinal points, which basically means the outer edge of the wind farm. So there'll be 5 turbines that are lit, obviously 3 of which will be the ones that are closer to the park. But in relation to that, it's fairly, there's industry standard proposals for mitigation of lighting effects. At the moment, these lights would be introduced as steady red horizontally directed lights on the nacelles of the wind turbine. And these would be to set as a density of light intensity of 2000 candela, sorry. And just for comparison, if you imagine the lights of the big telecommunication masts at Durras and Birkhead, they are set at 2000 candela, so they are pretty bright. But in relation to the Civil Aviation Authority and mitigation and concerns about lighting effects, in particular on areas where you have recognised dark sky qualities, there is mitigation that within a 5-kilometre radius, if that light is deemed to be extending beyond 5 kilometres, then the sensors on the turbines will automatically dim that to 200 candelas. So that is quite a substantial reduction in lighting effects. Obviously, the nearest location to the park is approximately 8 kilometres, so that is beyond that sort of 5-kilometre shut-off. So we're not saying there might not be no lighting visible, but it will be vastly reduced, and it's unlikely to produce significant effects. So we feel that mitigates the effects on lighting from this development proposal. So for those of you, we have a casework agreement with NatureScot in that they will lead on providing landscape advice on proposals out with the park, but potentially affecting the park's special landscape qualities. And they would typically provide us with that advice, and we would use it to inform our recommendation. Given the context of the consented Del wind farm and the existing Stranraer wind farm, and the fact that they didn't raise any objections to the previous Del wind farm, they decided that this did not raise issues of national interest to them. And so they did not provide us with detailed advice. They basically just set out that they were comfortable that this would not raise additional significant effects, and therefore the proposal would not have an adverse effect on park integrity, and they are comfortable that it meets the new National Planning Framework for Policy for Natural Places. Our appraisal and recommendation very much runs in parallel with what NatureScot has said. The principle of the development at the site is established, and there are no additional cumulative and significant effects. We feel that the potential effects from the lighting would be adequately mitigated, and that so there would be no introduction of significant effects on the dark sky qualities of the park. We feel that the integrity and the objective of the national park are not compromised, and so the proposal meets the requirements of the National Park Partnership Plan policies and the National Planning Framework for Policies. And so our recommendation is no objection. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Do we have any questions for Sarah? I don't see any in the room, and I don't see anyone. Oh, sorry, Eleanor.
Not really a question, it's just a compliment, Sarah. I thought that was a really good presentation, and I think it took us all probably nearer to be on the same page as to understanding. And I'm happy to go with the recommendation as you've set out.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any further questions or comments on that? So we'll move into a discussion phase. Is there anything that anyone would like to raise? Lauren? Oh, sorry, I do have a question. Xander?
Sorry, no, it was just a comment to follow up on Eleanor's comment. Wasn't a question.
Oh, go ahead, Xander.
No, I was just going to say I also found the presentation very useful because actually I had struggled with the because again we've got documents that are based on colour, so I had struggled with the colour, whereas being talked through it and shown where it did impact us was very helpful. So it did help it clarify it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Xander. Lauren?
Thanks, Convener. Sorry, this was a question. And yeah, thanks, Sarah. That was really comprehensive and very good. Can I just ask about the lighting? That's the only thing I didn't quite understand or just would like some clarity on. So, because obviously Burghead is extremely bright.
Yes.
So could you just talk me through that one more time in terms of the lighting? Because that could potentially have quite a significant impact if you're on the tops at night. Yeah, well, not significant, but it could have impact.
Yeah. So I'm just getting to my notes to explain it clearly. Right. So basically, the lights, as you say, are steady red lights at 2000 candela, which is very bright. And this actually came about, for those of you who know Moray, it was a Glashkyle wind farm, which was, the lights were set at 2000 candela, and there was a lot of complaints and upset about it with a lot of local residents. So this was the start of certainly Nature Scot thinking about how we could mitigate these appropriately, because it is introducing a very different type of light. You know, red lights by their very nature are warning lights, and so they are quite an unusual feature in our landscape, especially if they sort of start sitting above a lot of the hills.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, where there is good weather, so excellent conditions, and the light's intensity, so they're setting quite a limited, they're setting quite a sharp threshold. They're not saying we will accept light intensity out to 20 kilometres. They're saying if that light is seen beyond 5 kilometres,
right,
we will dim the lights automatically.
Okay.
So that for if there's fog or heavy thick cloud, you'll be in the park and you won't see anything, so they'll probably be brighter. But as soon as that light intensity starts to bleed beyond 5 kilometres, the lights will dim automatically. And so because we're at least 8 kilometres beyond the park, you know, if you've got very good eyesight, you might see some lighting, but it will not be near that strength of intensity. This is being used as a lot of mitigation for a lot of wind energy development across Scotland, and it's seen as a very acceptable way to mitigate those kind of effects. Does that explain it?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's yeah. I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah, no,
there's nothing, yeah, Vivian at the top or whatever, it would take away from that experience.
Yeah,
so I just
no.
wanted to double check. Thanks very much.
Okay, anyone else like to raise anything? No? We're okay. So are we happy to accept the officer recommendation and no objection? Okay, so no objection. Thank you very much. Before we go, Sarah, I would like to echo that. That was a really good presentation, really useful for board members, but also very useful for any members of the public that might be looking in, just to get a steer on how this thing works. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 7. Any other competent business? Oh yes, we'll just get Russell and Derek back in the room.
Derek at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back, Derek. Russell. So we're going to move on to item number 7, any other competent business. Gavin.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, 2 things today. Just to say that you'll recall that the committee agreed and we served a notice to remove a structure in Woods that was going to be lived in at Tilhoney Woods near Carbridge. And we, at the last minute, have received notification of an appeal on that. So officers and our legal advisors are going to be responding to that appeal and setting out why we consider the reporter should dismiss the appeal. So that's the first thing. The second part is it's really just a quick note that both of our senior planners who we were recruiting have been recruited and have started work since the last planning committee. So Colin Bryan started not long after the last planning committee in the development management team, and Jeff Pyra, who's here today, has started in Dan's forward planning team. So that's really great news to have them on board.
Okay. Any questions on that for Gavin? No. Okay. So I'll now move a motion to move into our confidential session. Are members happy to do that? Yeah. Okay. Great. So can we turn off the live broadcast?